Another day, another big, bold new shoot-the-moon policy proposal from a Democratic presidential contender. This one comes from Senator Elizabeth Warren, who has already proposed some big ideas, including a wealth tax and universal child care. Warren's new proposal, laid out in a Medium post today and then a speech today in Queens, is to break up the big tech companies, including Amazon, Google, and Facebook, on antitrust grounds. One of the issues Warren highlights is that these companies can currently sell products on platforms they also own. Earlier today on this network, speaking to Ari Milber, she explained why that's a problem.
What this is about competition. It's about all those little businesses and startup businesses and entrepreneurs who want to put their products on Amazon or on Google and who are at an enormous competitive disadvantage because Amazon or Google, if they like the money they see that you're making because they get all the information, they decide to go into competition with you and put their product on page 1 and your product back on page 6 and kill your business.
Joining me now for more on Warren's big plan and the big proposals from Democratic presidential contenders, Democratic strategist Tara Dowdell and Sam Biddle, technology reporter at The Intercept, who's got a big column about this today. Let me start with you, Sam, on the details of this. How big is this in the context of what we have seen from antitrust enforcement?
I think it's the biggest we've ever seen. It is a huge, more than a warning shot. It is a "we are coming after you if I win" kind of warning, which is, a warning with some caveats in it, but it's a huge statement, and I think it is shaking a lot of people in Silicon Valley right now who haven't heard this before.
It would actually mean breaking up these companies, right? I mean, she would actually reach into them and separate different parts of them.
So far, it sounds like most of it would be sort of reversing these merger and acquisition deals that we've seen over the past few years. For example, taking Instagram away from Facebook, taking
WhatsApp.
Yeah, exactly, taking WhatsApp away from Facebook. So sort of making them paring them down a little. But not splitting them up into a bunch of different pieces.
Two things happening here that are interesting. One is the politics of seeing big tech as a threat, which I think there's growing political momentum behind, and also just this sort of ideas primary we're seeing the Democratic Party, where people are really pushing the boundaries of what a Democratic agenda looks like.
I think there's a thirst in the Democratic Party, and this is a manifestation of that. There's a thirst in the Democratic Party for Democrats to be bold, unequivocal, and unapologetic in terms of fighting for democratic values. I think what you're seeing is voters are realizing, generally speaking, not just Democrats, but Democrats are professing it differently. All voters are realizing that something's not right? Like that their incomes are still the same, but yet they're working harder. We know productivity is up in this country. Home ownership, if you're African American, is lower now than it was before in past years. And so I think voters are feeling that. And I think on the Democratic side in particular, Democrats are pushing for the party to prioritize working poor people, middle income people, small business owners like myself. And that's what you see. You see these bold ideas coming out as a response to that.
These are just some of them. Basic income for children, which has now become a sort of census Democratic position, breaking up the big banks and tech firms here, free college, the Green New Deal, legalizing marijuana, Medicare for all, paid family leave, universal child care, a wealth tax. I mean, that's a very big agenda. I mean, those are from different candidates. One of the advantages of this, though, is this doesn't really need 60 votes in the Senate, right? I mean, this doesn't need to go through legislation. This is the kind of thing you can do as president.
Well, so what Warren said in the post, and it's worth noting this is just a blog post right now. She's not talking legislation at the moment. This is all sort of a 10,000-foot view. But she wants to, or said she would appoint regulators whose job it would be to monitor these big firms for infractions, the definitions of which are a little vague at the moment, but and also facilitate that spinning off process, that cutting Instagram away from Facebook, cutting Waze away from Google, Nest away from Google, that paring down process. And that sounds like something she could do on her own, more or less.
That is something I also think that I wonder if we're going to see that more in the primary. You could talk about Green New Deal, Medicare for all, big legislative domestic priorities. But, like, if Mitch McConnell's there, no one gets rid of the filibuster, whereas there are things you can do in the executive, antitrust, or there's some things you can do in the executive around marijuana enforcement. You wonder how much we're going to see ideas that don't necessarily depend on a Congress.
As someone who's worked in government, I can tell you that if you have a lot of discretion within the different agencies to write rules and protections, and that's what you see. You see the Trump administration, for example,
using those powers
and unwinding those protections that were put in place under the Obama administration. So I think you will see more a savvier Democratic Party Party around making clear that they will use what powers
Executive
they will
authority.
use. Exactly.
It's also been so long since we've seen an FTC that's willing to take on business interests.
Right.
The Trump FTC has been sort of asleep at the wheel. An aggressive FTC that would want to crack down on some of these things that Warren laid out would be shocking.
That's the amazing thing about this sort of revived antitrust movement is that there's already regulatory bodies, statutory
Right.
authority in place. The craziest thing is that it just has not been used in a particularly aggressive way in essentially 30 years because of like a revolution in the way all this stuff was done.
Well, I think the other thing that you see as a small business owner, I can tell you, I experience this all the time, and I see it, witness it, is you see when companies get big, the first thing they do is they increase the barriers of entry to keep people like me from getting into the process.
Yes, and the story that Elizabeth Warren told there is wild. Amazon will just sit there and be like, oh, your plates look nice. We're selling Amazon plates now. And that's the first hit in the search. Tara Dowdell and Sam Biddle, thank you both for being with me tonight.
My pleasure.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.